can't resist, weary of wolves in disguise. Drunk on a gallon of wine, red as the rivers you cried. Bad apples for the punch, bruises and rotten fronts. You've got a thirst you can't hide. There's something in the water, there's something in the air. The proof is all around us, the symptoms are everywhere. There's something in the water, there's something in the air. The proof is all around us. The symptoms are everywhere. Might be a fault of design, a bark as bad as its bite. Fooled by a flash of teeth, sharp tongues that lie beneath, words that could eat you alive. There's something in the water, there's something in the air. The proof is all around us, the symptoms are everywhere. There's something in the water, there's something in the air. The proof is all around us. The symptoms are everywhere, victims around and never did but what we feel. There's something in the water, there's something in the air. There's something in the water, there's something in the air. The proof is all around us, the symptoms are everywhere. There's something in the water, there's something in the air. The proof is all around us, the symptoms are everywhere. The symptoms are everywhere, victims around and never did but what we feel. Symptoms are everywhere.
I don't envy our salvation, I don't envy our success. I've been cast with all the power, but I don't smile like the rest. I don't wanna live forever, I don't wanna die today. But I was born into this strange skin, and I don't know another way. I
Hello. Happy Thursday, as I like to call it, Practice Friday. You are here watching Creative Chaos, a show that we do weekly, highlighting a different indie, what I like to call fantastic people creating fantastic things outside the mainstream. And actually, our opening band tonight was Blacklight Studios or Blacklight District Studios, and that was written and performed by our guest tonight, who we will meet in a little bit. But first, as always, Creative Chaos is sponsored by Flip City Magazine, the absolute best comic satire magazine on the face of the earth. It is delivered in print, but we are so confident that you're going to love Flip City that we have a simple sampler directly on our website. You don't even have to give us any information. And we're not so technically savvy that we're tracking you and tagging you. So, you literally get away for free just checking it out at flipcitymag.com/free dash magazine. That is in the description of the video, as well as the in the chat. I believe I put that in all the chats as well. So that's flipcitymag.com/free magazine. Go check out our free super sampler right there on the website if you like it. Oh, I'm sorry, simple sampler. And if you like it, you can go download the super sampler for free. So that, I believe, we made 72 pages, and it gives you an idea of the format of the magazine and how much you're going to laugh your ass off. We pretty much guarantee it, unless you're humorless. So yeah, check it out, flipcitymag.com/free dash magazine. And I am not sure if my sidekick is here yet and ready to talk. Is Batman here and ready
I
to
am
talk?
in the Zoom room. I am here. I am here. I am here.
Yay! Hey, Batman, I don't know if you saw on Facebook that you got a major compliment on our Flip City magazine, because I responded to the guy and tagged you, but Facebook's terrible with notifications. Did you see that?
Yeah, I don't get notifications from Facebook very often, so I did not. Can you tell me who it's from and what it says?
I forgot who it's from, and I also forgot to screenshot it so we don't get a look at it. But basically, it says he wanted to know the lore behind Creative Chaos and how the heck we hooked up. So I told them the story. Um, should we tell the story right now of
Might
how
as
we hooked
well.
up? Okay, do you
Yeah,
want to tell
sure.
it or should I?
I'll let you tell it.
All right. So, gosh, what was it? 8 months ago or so.
Give or
I
take.
went on the Three Beer Men along with Scott, my husband, and Mad Mind behind Flip City Magazine, and I cannot run a live stream to save my life, and it really stressed me out. And I knew I needed a producer, so Cosmic Grandpa, our producer extraordinaire, I said, I'm going to charm you enough to make you want to be my producer, and I guess I did, or he was drunk. That's still up for debate. But Batman basically asked, hey, can I come along? And I said, you know what, that's hilarious, because it's ironic that Batman is my sidekick, and that's why I chose to have you on. But you've been such a valuable asset. You've way more than earned your keep around here at Creative Chaos. Anyway, but the guy that reached out on Facebook, I told him that little lore because he was curious, but he was saying about you that you are high energy and really fun, and he really appreciates you.
Well, thank you. Whoever it was that sent that, if you're listening tonight or if you catch us in replay, what you should do is go to an old YouTube channel called Nerds in a Bar. That's NERDS, separate word in, separate word a, separate word bar, Nerds in a Bar. And you can see me there in my previous iteration as Batman. You can see me on YouTube. We have over 1,000, no, we have over 200 plus videos, and we have over 1,000 plus subscribers. We had since parted ways. My business partner and I, but you can still catch all of our videos and reviews. This weekend is actually San Diego Comic-Con, and I'm kind of bummed because we were planning to go to one of them, and this probably would have been the year we would have gone. But I've been separated from that business now probably about 4 years, 3.5 years. And Cosmic and I run the show here on Pilled. Rumble was on Twitter. I don't know if we're going to go back to Twitter or whatever we have to do to get to Twitter, but we're on different channels and streaming platforms that you can check us out on at the number 3 BEERMEN.TV, 3 Beer Men, and you can see all of our previous videos in the replays on both Rumble, DLive, and on pilledfoxhole.net, pilled.net, foxhole.app.
That's right.
And
So
then,
go,
of course, here on Thursday nights. We had
yeah,
fun yesterday, actually. You can tell
that's
them about
right.
yesterday.
Yeah, that's right. We went on a Doc's coffee shop and had a good time in the morning. So we were drinking coffee instead of beer. And I really
Well, it was morning
appreciated
for
that you
you.
came with me. That was our first time guesting together. So that was a milestone for us, I think.
Yeah. We had fun on that show. I would have liked it to have gone longer. I think we could have stretched that out like another hour or so. I mean, we had a lot of material and we barely covered it, but Doc is the kind of guy, he likes to throw in those punches real quick and get the fuck out.
Yeah.
So
Kind of a man after my own heart. Even though, this show was designed for 1 hour, we kind of regularly go, hour and a half to 2 hours. Anyway, hey Batman, what should people be doing to help us with this stream?
So, guys, if you like what you see here and you want to support this channel, Flip City Magazine not only has its own website, flipcitymag.com, but you can go to any one of our shows and you can like, subscribe, and click here on Rumble. Give us a thumbs up. If you're out on foxholepill.net, hit those red pills for us. And you can show us some love by sending us some gold pills. Are we on DLive too?
No.
You're not on DLive yet. Okay. Well, that's something we may want to look into. But aside from that, you can check us out and go to any of the other platform services and make sure you like, subscribe, and send us love any way you can in the chats. We appreciate that.
Awesome. And then just real quick before we bring our guest in over on YouTube, we got George Washington X checking in with a hi. Vulcan Live
Yo, bro.
says, "Good evening." And George is asking where everybody is. I kind of felt that way as well. Like the chat has been really quiet so far tonight. So Dev is Tater. Devastator.
Devastator.
Yeah, Devastator said hello to Vulcan. He didn't say hello to me, but that's okay. Anyway,
okay.
let's bring in our guest and we're gonna read him in here. So our guest tonight is Jesse Blaze Snider, and he is a singer, songwriter, and owner operator of Black Light District Studio, where he has coupled his music with thematic comics. He's written comics in the past for the mainstream industry and progressively became more disillusioned with the worthless editorial bureaucracy and general shit floating to the top mindset. So he went indie. Jesse recently closed out a successful campaign for his subversively naughty and darn funny comic titled Effing for Our Future. You can see what it really says there. This would keep any regular Joe busy, but not Jesse, because he also hosts a couple of live streams called The Coolest Geek Alive and All Your Favorite Bands Suck, which I take exception to because I know my favorite bands are awesome. But I'll let Jesse decide. Let's bring him in. Jesse, I'm so disappointed. You think my favorite band sucks.
I do. I think it's funny because for the most part, everybody who shows up and does anything like this, we're the exceptions to the rules. We're the people who've gotten like a little too obsessed with the thing, and we know more about it than most people. But I think most people, most of their music is just handed to them from on high, and we get all the same bands. And like when you go into these lists of the top 500 Rolling Stone or whatever it might be, I'm always let down. I had bought the 500 greatest albums of all time list that they had put it out as a hardcover book, and I started digging into it. And some of these records were awful. The Velvet Underground and Nico, it's that white record with the banana on it. That fucking album sucks.
Well,
and
Velvet Underground's not my favorite band, but I do enjoy some Velvet Underground. Which
500 greatest albums of all time. And then I called up my friend Joe because he grew up in that time era. I'm like, explain this to me. I'm like, I don't get it. And he said, you listen to the last album that you should have listened to first.
okay.
I was like, all right, like in order to get into the band, I'm like, whatever, this is crap. So my list is really like, there's a lot of genres that just are disrespected by the mainstream. My father is the lead singer of Twisted Sister. Thank you respectfully for not sharing that as a main talking point. But
I didn't know that actually.
Oh, you didn't? Well, my love for him is really sort of encapsulated in the show's mantra. There's a lot of these great bands that are underdogs, that are great, and they deserve a lot of attention and respect, but they don't get it for one reason or another. They wore makeup, or they're not quite understood, or whatever it is. So there's punk bands and metal bands and rappers and humor. For the most part, mainstream music is country, pop, and R&B. Hip hop. Like those are the three.
I don't know. Rock and roll.
Rock and roll it doesn't actually sell as well. Well, I mean, it does when they're pushing it. I mean, ultimately, whatever they're pushing sells. And I mean, that's the whole thing. It's the system is the system, and they push out the shit that they push out. So, all your favorite bands suck for me is just about getting a highlight on all these other bands, especially humor bands, which tend to never be like respected. And to do great humor, it's so hard. Oh, by the way, can I just say I have 2 teeth pulled out of my mouth, so I'm a little swollen on the side of my mouth.
Thank you for showing up anyway. Well, I did want to ask, and you know what's hilarious about you talking about humor bands is all of us here now, and you haven't met my producer, Cosmic Grandpa, because he came in a little late, but all of us like comedy music. So,
that was me and my drummer in Baptized by Fire. Our big bond was over comedy music. We used to play Explosivo by Tenacious D. What's the name of the song? Explosivo. Don't know what it's about, but it's good to go. What's the name of my girlfriend? I don't know, but she's built like a shit, and she's good to go. Go. She's good to go. She's good to go.
Well,
I love good comedy bands.
And I did kind of want to start with you did Jesse, because you talk a lot, and I really appreciate that, because you're gonna kind of carry my show through to the end. But I do want to tell you what my number 1 favorite band is and get your feedback.
Oh, cool. Who's your favorite band?
My favorite band is the Talking Heads. Don't talk shit on Talking Heads.
My honest reaction to that is I've just never really gotten too deep into them, because they were a little softer sort of rock band than is up my alley in particular. I'm familiar with some of their stuff. I like things that I've heard. Up until when I was very young, like in college, I used to do a radio show called The Radio Blaze with no ballad interruptions.
Okay.
You can kind of see where my mind was. It took me until I was like 30, I think, when I listened to, on that list of the top 500 bands of all time for Rolling Stone, I listened to Van Morrison's Astral Weeks. And that record like changed my life. Totally just gave me this new appreciation for things that I'd always considered a little, what it is? As a songwriter, it's really easy to go slow, open things up, hold your notes. It's like you can say anything and you just go, to the moon. Like there's a certain amount of like, man, how long did it take you to think that up? Like that was so easy. Look how easy. And there's a complexity that comes from more rat-tat-tat sort of melody writing and things like that, which is more difficult. It's harder to write well, she was just a 17, and and to be writing to a click that's a and you're bouncing into the, like, that's that's more complex writing. So I always viewed ballads as kind of easy. And it was like the shit that most people were doing because it appealed to the ladies. You know, let me go
Mhm.
cruise for you a minute. And I don't have any respect for musicians who are appealing to the ladies. I might like some of their stuff, but I don't have any respect for them.
Well,
Um,
I mean, wasn't that kind of I'm sorry, what wouldn't you say, because I would think because of who your dad is, which I just found out, um with most genres of music, was it the studio kind of forcing everybody to do a ballad on every album?
absolutely, like that's something that happened. I mean, you know, my dad wasn't forced to put the price on to Stay Hungry, which was their big ballad. He did that smartly. My dad's clever, like a fox. So, you know, but with me, the reason why I'm an independent musician is because every time I would get near the industry, they would basically go, "Oh, you're cute. The girls are going to love you. You know, let's
Okay.
make you into Bon Jovi, or maybe we'll make you into Billy Idol." And I would always go, "Nah, I'm a freedom fighter, and I'm here to grant, you know, spiritual empowerment to people who need it." And that's not because I feel so spirit. On some levels, I feel very spiritually empowered, thanks to the benefit of the way I was raised and who I was raised by, and some of that stuff. But I always felt very disempowered because my father was a rock star, and I was like, you know, in my mind, I'm like this little bitty guy, and then there's my dad, and he's a big rock star. Um,
Hmm.
but that led to me like falling in love with Jim Henson and the Muppets, and you know, and so many things that I felt gave me power and gave me the strength to do the things I wanted to do and be my own unique self. And you know, that's the greatest gift I was ever given. You know, from Jim Henson to be able to feel like, you know, I'd be accepted by him to go do my unique show, even if it was terrible. You know,
Right.
and that notion really, I wanted to pay that forward. It was very interesting in my life throughout the years. It really upset me because I started to get this feeling from people that like I was in this for me, and that like I was pursuing entertainment, writing, you know, singing, whatever, like to like aggrandize myself. And there's a small part of it that was definitely aimed at equalizing the differential I felt with like my father, you know, but it was very much I just want to be on this level where I see you offering this service and I want to be able to offer this service. And I chose the arts because that was where I saw this amazing power to connect with people. You know, the people who my father has connected with, you know, like through his music. I mean, he's changed so many people's lives. And you know, it's easy to not be a Twisted Sister fan and not be able to imagine that. But you know, there's so many things that you know, even like a band like Twisted Sister, you don't imagine they're dressing up in drag. In before that's a good thing. You know, Twisted Sister was around for a decade doing that. Before
Right.
that, you know, there's so many trans people and gay people just like that. I didn't come out of the closet until I saw Twisted Sister perform. You got on stage and did your show the way you wanted to do it, and it changed my life. You know,
Right.
that
And
kind of stuff is incredibly empowering to me.
yeah, absolutely. I think Batman here has a question for you, or a comment at least.
Jesse, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Jesse,
Oh, you're West.
you used to live around the corner from me, and you actually went to my old high school, my alma mater. I knew your family well, and I used to take care of Yoshi.
I was gonna say you look familiar.
I own Willow Pet Hotel in Deer Park.
Oh, nice.
We
Yeah.
used to groom Yoshi. We used to shave Yoshi for you every summer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now
you were a little kid back then.
That's funny.
15 or 13 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that was really the genesis for me. Like, it's weird because now, like having been in the industry, you know, I look younger than I am. I'm like, I say this only because people tend to think I'm like really young. And like
Mhm.
I've been in comics and pursuing comics as a professional since I was a teenager. And I got like my first work at Marvel at 23 or 25, I don't know, something like that. Um, and so I've been like coming up through this business and through the ranks of it for a very long time. And that thing of like, oh, Jesse wants to be famous or whatever. Like it's very funny because like people like when you bunch up against people's egos, it's an ugly thing. Because I'm talented, I'm very good at what I do. You know, I've worked. My only care was that I was good at what I was doing, and that other people would see what I was doing and go, "He's good." You know, that's it. That's all I cared about. That's all I've cared about my whole career. Is that when people see what I do, they go, "He's great." And so, you know, it's really easy to be a 40-year-old in the comic book, you know, industry who's been doing it for a long time, knowing what's what. The big problem with comics is that half the people in the industry who deserve to be doing anything for you don't know how to write. And there's like it's like a 49%, you know, for every Daniel Warren Johnson, there's a million other guys who need a script, need a blueprint, need something. There are plenty of people who can do it Marvel style and whatever else, but writing, oh man. And the worst part about this is at least like 60% of these people who don't know how to write, they think they do, and they're not fucking good at all.
Right.
They don't know how to structure a fucking story to save their lives. They don't understand what people are looking for, what the audience is looking for. They're really like, it's crazy how not good at something so many people can be who are in a creative field. But like there's a lot of artists who are not good storytellers. So
I was raised between Marvel and DC, but I grew up on independence in the 80s. The independent comic industry was booming in the early 80s into the mid 90s. And you were probably just getting into the industry in the late 90s, weren't you? Late 90s, early 2000s.
It's early 2000s. I got into comics first with the image boom, but I was like more like looking at the pictures. I wanted to be an artist, so I would copy pictures and I would draw things. And with image, but I got very into reading Savage Dragon. The first 75 issues of Savage Dragon are some of the greatest funny books you will ever read, especially if you read the individual issues, because the letters page in the back of the book. Eric Larson loves comic books. He's become a jaded old man. I think he's on the spectrum. I think he has Asperger's. He's a little bit hot and cold when you deal with him. He's been dealing with me since I was 16, so I've had a long enough time to like gauge him. And I'm like probably the highest functioning autistic person you know. So
I know a lot of high functioning autistic people.
Well, there's a lot of us. There's a lot of us in comics. It's like the same thing with like baseball cards and shit. You know, putting together these universes and these structures. You know, it's fun for us. You know, so for me, you know, when I started to realize I was going to be a writer, I read a lot of comics, and so I was like, all right, you know, and I felt like I really kind of knew how to do it good because of Eric Larson. His like I said, his letters column, it was just filled with just love for Jack Kirby and you know, panel faux pas that he didn't like that artists would do, and things that he didn't appreciate that would happen at different companies, and just so much perspective I was getting on comics, and it was the only comic I read. And then and then eventually I got into Deadpool, Joe Kelly's Deadpool run towards the beginning, which was amazing. Joe Kelly's one of my favorite writers. And then into the Marvel Knights stuff that was coming out at the time when Joe Quesada and Jimmy Palmiotti had first started to have a foothold there. And Joe, dude, people talk shit about him all the time in all sorts of ways. Nobody wants to give people credit where their fucking credit is due. That man led a creative renaissance at Marvel. It was great for a while it lasted. Dan DiDio did some really great work for a short period of time until he literally broke all the good things that he did. I think he like made it something really good, and then he just kept doing things, even though he should have slowed down at that point. But both of those guys really did some great stuff. There was a moment in time around Identity Crisis and Dark Reign and whatnot where the Marvel Comics and DC Comics universes were amazing, filled with creative people who really cared about the source material, whether it was source material as a genre, they cared about this genre and noir, they cared about the superhero genre, whatever, and were giving it their best. And then we had this deluge that happened. Everybody was starting to be promoted on their proclivities, their race, their oh, I'm a woman, I'm that. And the funny thing about this was there was really great like female writers, like somebody who I always mentioned, Marjorie Bennett. She's awesome. she's written a shitload of cool things, and she didn't seem to get any more work. Like, and there was another one whose work I really liked, and she didn't get any more work. Marjorie Liu, who's really great, and I was like, oh well, maybe those two, less than regarded female writers are going to get some work all of a sudden. Like, if Will Pfeiffer and Mark Andreyko and Keith Champagne and people who are unregarded writers who are incredible but like people aren't good at recognizing talent, so they don't get pulled up. All of a sudden there was extra white guys were needed. We go look for them. Maybe they get hired, but that's not how it happens in this stupid world. What happens is the people who are willing to play this stupid politicking game get hired instead, and you get a complete change of the landscape. And there was a moment in time where people like me, I mean, like I could tell like a bunch of like quick stories, but my brother Shane was doing all this work for this Monsters Rock show for Netflix that was my dad was producing, was whole thing, and he's writing it, and rewriting it, all this shit. They won't pitch it or bring it forward because they don't have a female at the head of the thing. So I talked to him and I'm like, well, this same thing just happened for me because me and my buddy was another white guy. He was like, we can't pitch this thing, so we got to bring in a girl. Turns out this girl, she was connected to 20 different projects at once because all these people needed a credible female writer to connect to these projects. Yeah, she couldn't connect to our project because they didn't want her to have any more than 7. So she had like 9 or 12 or something like that she was waiting to like add on, and she couldn't add them on. But I go to Shane, I go, this is what they're doing now. People are bringing in one person's being connected to fucking 30 different projects. I'm like, just bring in our sister, bring in Cheyenne. And just be like, yeah, Shy wrote it. Put her name on top and like do whatever, like, so you can get hired. We just move forward. My brother Cody just got dicked around by Hollywood for 10 years. Essentially, he made a short film that is considered by many the greatest short film ever made. It's fucking phenomenal. It's called Fool's Day. You can look it up. It's co-written by my brothers Shane and Cody, and Cody Blue Snider directed it. It's great. And they had Margot Robbie attached, and just fucking 10 years of this thing like falling apart. He finally, like, because he's too much of a nice guy and he got tired of us all kind of calling him a nice guy. And finally he called out one of these people in the meeting of like, why isn't this happening? Because everybody loves my brother. He's the sweetest guy. Nobody wants to tell him anything bad. And finally they told him, because you're a white guy and we can't be like that.
Yeah.
And then
I can't tell you.
Yeah. And then similarly alongside that, I thought long and hard about coming out. Coming out is such a weird thing, but coming out as non-binary, because I'm non-binary. I mean, I didn't necessarily even know that until I looked into the stupid thing. I happen to think that all of these like unique proclivities of it goes on for fucking ever. Like we're gonna make a bazillion different boxes, and like I don't want your stupid box. I want my own unique box, and I think I already have that. It's called Jesse Blaze Snider. Jesse Blaze Snider, that's the box that we put me in. There, I'm Jesse Blaze Snider. There you go. You don't have to Zer me or any of these other things. I could just be Jesse Blaze Snider. But there was a moment where I was like, well, fuck, man. The reality is, yes, I am on the spectrum of sexuality. And I think actually non-binary people have a lot to kind of say to sort of help the conversation, because the stupid conversation is so stupid. This idea of masculine energy, feminine energy. Masculine energy and feminine energy exist in all people in different weights. Some people are more masculine, some people more, but it's back and forth. And I'm more feminine, so I'm that non-binary thing is like, well, I was born and I didn't really feel like a dude. That didn't come naturally to me. I had to kind of watch that, look at that, and be like, all right, I'll be a guy. So like, in my spare time, you'll see me walking around with my wrist limp. And when I go for girlfriends, I tend to get girls who are tough and smart and cool. I don't like girls who are like, oh my God, it's a bug. I can't, enough female energy coming from me. I need you to be cool. So, but these are the variations of people. There are all different types of people who have a different, capacity inside them. I think if people understood this shit better about the nature of these energies, we wouldn't be electing freaking patriarchal energy in exhibiting females. Just because you have boobs doesn't mean it's a matriarchy. You'd be better to have me in there and more feminine women, who are creative and want to think about change. masculine energy, feminine. Masculine energy is, people always do this stupid thing of like the masculine energy gives and the feminine energy receives. Like, that's not fucking masculine energy, feminine. Masculine energy preserves, and feminine energy improves. Masculine energy is like, this is great. I love this. The classic thing. I found this girl. She's beautiful. You're great. I love her. I brought her home to this house. She comes into the house. She goes, this house could be better. She starts making the house nice. That's creative energy. That's the feminine energy. And the reason why it's hard to understand that is because you're both. I want to appreciate this nice house I've made. Once you're done being feminine, you go into masculine. Look at the nice thing I've made. Isn't this nice? Let's appreciate this. And the idea of a matriarchal society overtaking the patriarchy that we have right now, patriarchy preserving the status quo as it is, matriarchy going, perhaps it could be a little better if, perhaps it could be a little better. So that's the stage we have to move into. And that comes from, being empathetic and being able to, talk to people and not demonizing everybody. I saw an old man got run over for putting a fucking Trump sign up on his lawn by some young boy, some friggin' 20-something or whatever. And this is the crazed state of mind that so many people have been brought to, where they think that fellow human beings some old man on the street is voting for Trump because he's fundamentally hating them and deserves to be run over. It's very disappointing. I'm somebody who tries to, I've always tried to be, in the middle, because I know so many people on both sides, and I'm not going to pick sides. I'm not going to be like, oh, you over there and you over there. And to a certain degree, I kind of feel like I'm going to force them to fucking stand near each other, because if they want that's what you have to do. Because I'm nice and I'm cool and I'm cool with everybody. So fuck it, you're going to have to freaking learn how to deal with it, because I'm not going to play any of these stupid games anymore.
Well, it is funny, because that is what, that's how you conquer people, and also get everybody following the state, is divide in as many ways as possible. And we're, the whole left right thing, that's just one of the many, many ways to divide us. And then that's into subsections as well.
It's so funny to me. Like the Boom Studios, when Aaron Sparrow was the editor over there, people talk about women and in comics and whatever other stuff. Naturalistically, we had like a half dozen women working on all of the Disney books that we were working on. And they were working on them because they loved the Disney stuff the same way I love the Disney stuff, which is what got me the job when I told Aaron how much I love the Muppets and blah, 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 blah. And he told me, well, I don't have any Muppets, but, Toy Story. And I was like, oh, well, I really love Pixar too. And, so conversations pursued. And then the other people, like, I'm blanking on a couple different names, but if you go back to that time and you see the different people, their names will probably start popping in my head. But not Grace Randolph. See, I'm gonna start exhibiting names. But if you go back and you look at those Boom books or the Muppet Fairy Tales and the various books that were put out at that time, the Disney stuff, there's a lot of girls working on that stuff. There's also a lot of blacks and Hispanics, and I hate even having to fucking say this. It really aggravates
Right.
it makes me feel like I'm like, oh my God, like I hate that I'm like having to look at the world in these ways and even look at myself.
Because
like,
they're forcing.
fucking fuck that.
Yeah.
Shit.
They are forcing us to do
They're forcing it down our throats to
Okay.
segregate people, to segregate us. They started with, I look back at the 80s because that's when I grew up, the early 80s, like your dad. Okay. I grew up in the 80s and 70s and 80s, and there was no stereotyping. There was no, the no toxic male energy. Everybody was themselves, and you all got along, and everybody had a really good time. I wanted to throw a name out at you because you talked about women in the industry. Do you know who Devin Grayson is, and have you had any work with her?
I've read a lot of her stuff. I think that Devin Grayson is an insanely talented writer who does not give a shit about the medium of comic books.
Correct. Thank you.
He has written some really awesome comics that I've read from her.
Yeah, the Titan run and the Nightwing Bloodhaven run was by far one of my favorite sets of books because of the artwork that she was the artist.
Some of the Nightwing stuff was good. And then some of the Nightwing stuff, I felt really offended as a fan. And Well, just there were certain things that were being done with like that Fatibutana tarantula who's hanging out with her, and she was she was really playing with his morality as like a human being, and I value his morality as a human being, and she really put him in some positions and made him do some things that shook my love for the character because of how he behaved. She made him a man. She made him susceptible to sex. And I'm really against that when it comes to archetype myths. They cannot
Well,
break their code of conduct because of a pretty lady, and unless it's like the be all end all. And I did not feel like she was the be all end all. I did not feel like she was Catwoman. I did not feel like she represented something for him to trash his morals for and then learn a lesson. Really, the way the character was presented, she was a fucking criminal. Like she was legit a criminal. She was not a Catwoman where like it was a little whatever and she was kind of doing a nice thing. She
she
was
was an anti-hero. She was not an anti-hero.
yes, and she was abusive towards him. Like she wasn't like sitting there saying things to him that were positive. She was playing hard to get. So I really didn't like the Devin Grayson, who's a good writer and probably loves soap operas and other different things, was like, oh, I have some things that are interesting that I want to say about people here. And she said it there with that character. And I didn't think all of those things that she tried to say with that character were appropriate. That's not to say that I don't think she is a great writer. There's plenty of writers who I think are fucking awful, who are women who they want to cast up. And I'm like, that person fucking sucks. They sucked the first day they wrote a comic book. Like, who's the person? Who's Matt Fraction's fuck? I will put her on blast all day long. That bitch. Oh my God, the one who don't like my politics, don't read my comics. Don't read her comics because they suck. I'm a fan. I read her first fucking comic, her fucking, they hired her because of her fucking vagina while I was trying my hardest to get into Marvel. I was working my fucking ass off to get in there. I'm such a fucking good writer. I'm so damn good at what I fucking do. And all I do is love their shit. I just love their shit and I write things that their fucking fans would like. And that asshole wrote this one-shot fucking rescue thing, and it was the worst fucking comic I've ever read in my life. There was no story at all. It didn't do or say fucking anything. And then I watched them go on this promotional tour with her over the next couple of years as they kept putting it out there about, oh, something because she has tits. And her writing did not get any better. I've been told some of it has gotten better. There's a few things that she's managed to put out that have been okay. But I'm a reader. I read. The reason why I'm very good at what I do is not because I'm so special. It's because I fucking read. Read great things, learn how to do it better than anybody else. If you read enough great fucking people and you learn enough great things from those people, you will become better than all those fucking people because you learned all the things that they know. And if I'm better than anybody at doing this, that's why. Because I never stop fucking reading other people's shit and trying to learn and grow. And when somebody like Daniel Warren Johnson comes along, I'm like, fuck, wow, what can I learn from this person who's thinking in pictures? This is amazing, and you freaking absorb and get as much from it as possible. But like most people are not doing that, man. And the people in comics tend to be like sad sacks who wish that they could be in film, but they didn't think that they were cool.
Oh man.
And then the people in freaking film, they're fucking think they're above everything, but they're just moving and shaking and trying to fuck each other, and like it's just all bullshit. Unfortunately, because that's why comics got so poisoned. Because when we got moved into the film area, all these sad sack comic creators were like, Hollywood, yay! Validate me, please.
That's really interesting.
The whole industry's run away with itself, and I just have no respect for any of the creative people anymore. It's just it's bonkers.
Wow. I think that's a good segue because I wanted to make sure that that we do talk about your project. So you had your rant about the industry. Now let's talk indie. I wasn't sure, but in the research that I was able to do with the links and stuff that you sent me, looks like this is your first crowdfunded campaign to print a book. Am I wrong on that?
Well, no, it's a little bit more complicated than that because essentially we did a book a while ago called King of Kings, We'd originally done it on what is it, Indiegogo, and we got shadow banned. So I didn't find out about the shadow banning. I thought that like we had failed. I thought people didn't like what we were doing, and I kind of gave up for a second because I was going through a lot of stuff in my life. Like I 10 years ago now, I guess, I was looking to hire Chuck Dixon. I had brought him out to dinner with me and Aaron, and I was like, hey, Chuck, you are the best. It's insane that they don't have you working on things regularly. I think that we could put together, something awesome that, we could get the right money behind it and make sure that it's there every month in, month out, and we can build a company around you and other people like you. I had other people on my list like Alan Grant and people who are just classic writers who are great at it, never seem to get bad at it, because there are writers who do get bad at it and don't change their style, like a Fabian Natchez and what's the dude who did I forget his fucking name, Scott Lodell. Like they still write like it's 90s, and I can't stand it. Every time I read it, I'm just like this was appropriate at the time, but now this is just bad writing because the writing is so much better. So now you're just writing a bad comic book that's over talky for no good reason because you like to hear yourself fucking speak. And that's a lot of the thing too. Within the echelons of the creative talent, it's so hard to grow. They won't let you grow. They don't want you to be big. They don't want you to have power. So
because they want to keep you under their thumb, and they want their formula to be the formula you use to write their comic books, because they know in their minds, so they think, that works for them because that's what they've found to be the method, if you will, or the equation that seems to work best for them. Look at what Disney did and how they fucking killed Star Wars and Marvel movies.
well, I mean that like I finally broke the seal on this, like the way I talk about it on Cool Speak Live now, because this isn't a matter of bad artistry. This is a concerted effort to inject divisive cultural change into our entertainment.
Right.
We're using geek culture stuff, which has taken control of the entirety of the entertainment landscape as a vessel for their messaging. And that's why it doesn't matter how badly these things do, they're not going to stop. They're not stopping. Deadpool 3 is like a brief reprieve that we're going to have, and then it's going to go right back to business as usual. You know why they're only making 2 Marvel movies a year now? To slow the bleeding, because they know that they're not changing anything, because the money at the tippy top, the Black Rocks and the Vanguards of the world, they own money in the pharmaceutical industry and in the food industry and in the sciences. They have stock in all these things, and those things are profiting. They're making lots of money on those things. They can afford to lose a little money on Disney. They can afford to lose a little money in the entertainment complex if it leads to the civil war in America that they would love to see transpire. And that is what we are up against right now. It is not any sort of, oh man, they're so creatively tone deaf. No, fucking, they're doing it on purpose. Russell T Davies is clearly a fucking Freemason, Illuminati, whatever other fucking bullshit. As he came Doctor Who, and he goes, double it down, and he starts fucking pointing at the fans going, you guys are homophobes. And we literally have a Doctor Who is thematically irregular to the franchise. It's completely inappropriate. There are appropriate people who you could make gay and it wouldn't seem that crazy. This is a crazy one, to make a flamboyant gay man. And how disrespectful is it to the gay community that every single time there's a fucking gay man on screen,
right?
He's a crazy flamboyant fucking gay man. It's just, it's such an absurd.
Yeah.
I can't begin to tell you. So we got banned on Indiegogo, and I came back.
You got banned on Indiegogo?
Indiegogo banned us. We got shadow. We didn't know. We didn't know.
You know, shadow ban.
Couldn't be found on their website. So then we came back. We raised on Kickstarter, and we did good. But I mean, granted, we wouldn't have made our money if not for one friend of mine who like put in a lot of money. But we made like 6,000 or something like that. And
wow,
I got kind of chastised by like a couple people in like Comicsgate or whatever that we were using Kickstarter, and I'm like,
Mm.
Indiegogo, fuck me. So like, fuck them. I'm not using them. Same way you feel about Kickstarter, I feel about that one. And I'm like, but like, I hope, I beg you to reconsider. And then they told me to go on Fund My Comic. So I went on Fund My Comic, and I was very disappointed with that experience. The dude who owns the place, I was interacting with him the whole time. He knew our book was there. Our book is fucking top shelf. It is not some piece of bullshit that some asshole just finished doing in his kitchen. And he knew that. He knew he had professionals working on a book that could absolutely have the potential to make a lot of money on their website. If I owned his fucking mom and pop version of a comic book fundraiser, I would be a little bit more hands on with people like me who stand to make him a lot of money and not behave like I'm just the indie version of Kickstarter. I'm just an indie, but like it doesn't matter. Like, okay, so Kickstarter is going to treat me just as good as you are. That fucking drove me crazy. And then when people started going, well, we'll do it on Fund My Comic. No, fuck you. I did it on Fund My Comic already. You didn't freaking support it then. I can only support these things in so many ways. It's so much energy to do 3 fucking platforms worth it. Fuck you guys. I make good comics. You want some good comics? Come join me where I am. I'm not fucking doing this 3 platform fucking your freaking bullshit. I'm not in on your protest. I'm in on my own protest. Fuck Indiegogo and fuck Fund My Comic. They censored us. I had to go in and every fucking Photoshop, I had to censor every image because it said fucking. It's just fucking nonsense. Okay, is this indie comics or what? Like, it's just like fucking free speech. They're the indie comics people. Comics King, free speech, but free speech until I say fucking, and then I can't fucking do it. This is the shit that drives me fucking bananas because everybody's just a fucking hypocrite across the board. The liberal people, you're not liberal. I'm liberal. I fucking am here and I'm standing up for everybody, even if I disagree with them. If you can't do that, you're not fucking bleeding heart. Kiss my ass. And then on the right side of things, either you believe in freedom of speech or you don't. My first book is King of Kings. It's about Jesus, the way he fucked over the Norse people and Odin getting revenge on it. And that fucking happened. Deal with it. Jesus has not always been presented as a good character to people, but it's a comedy and it's fun and we're having a good time. So fuck all these people tried to censor us on any damn level. I make controversial things on purpose because I am a good, sweet puppy dog with a wagging tail and a big heart. I fucking love everybody, but I need everybody to know that you're not allowed to judge a book by its cover. You're not allowed to just look at something and go, oh, bad. No, you can't. Because I'm here and I'm going to keep making things that look scary to you. But they're all going to be fucking fluffy butterflies when you open them up and you're going to be glad that you did. And I'm here to make sure that that line is never crossed, that we never get so dogmatic that when we switch back to the right side, all of a sudden these evangelicals start coming out of the woodwork telling me I'm going to hell. Nobody's going to hell. Everybody's going to be fucking fine if we can just get along. And I'm just so tired. Friggin' give me my damn freedom of speech and don't fucking tell me anything otherwise. And give me the ability to be my fucking self, even if that is not who you want me to be. This friggin' let's force everybody to be fucking gayer than they are naturally. It's just like, stupid. It's just like.
Well, wait. That's because they keep putting soy in everything we eat. Every time you're buying a processed food, they're sticking soy in it. So they're estrogenizing us, and they're zipping us up with estrogen, trying to take away that toxic male energy. It's fucking crazy. So I appreciate your enthusiasm and your attitude towards all of this, but we do have some segments of our show that we wanted to talk to you about and bring you into our show for a second because we love what you're doing and we want to see more of that. But I wanted to know if Christy wanted to touch base because he touched on it. If you want to go into the conspiracy corner, because I think Jesse's got some good ones for us.
Oh, yeah. Well, yes, and that's the thing. We are going to skip mansplain tonight because I know Jesse is going to have a great time in Conspiracy Corner. And I got to just say, our good friend over on YouTube, George Washington X, says Conspiracy Corner cannot contain this guy. He's going to need a conspiracy room. All right, so let's get into the corner.
I want to live with a conspiracy girl. I could be prepping the rest of my life with a conspiracy girl.
Those weren't even.
All right, so we are all now protected from any kind of YouTube bans or anything like that because I have got my protective tinfoil hat on. Now, Batman, seems to me like you had a very specific direction, because I actually have a topic chosen for Conspiracy Corner, but
Not at
no,
all.
you're
Not at
good.
all.
Okay.
I'm good. I wanted to ask him what his thoughts were on a couple of things because Jesse's very, very opinionated about certain things, and I have some questions for him. But we can address them after Conspiracy Corner.
You say opinionated, I say correct.
Yeah.
Okay. No,
we're
that's fine.
we're
However you
all
want, you have a much better, that's the term I should be using. You have a much better outlook on these things than these assholes at Marvel and DC who feel they have to bend down to the almighty Baal or whatever the fuck their satanic ritual bullshit that they do. And so I want to talk to you about a couple of people and a couple of comics, but we'll take that in a different direction after we do
that
Conspiracy
actually
Corner.
it
Can I just
actually
say,
might
sorry.
segue in. Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to say something in relation to that. Honestly, I'm glad that they didn't pull me in, because if I was there, I could have made all this DEI bullshit look good. And I mean, like,
Oh.
there are ways to fucking handle this shit so that it is fucking worthwhile fucking inclusion. And I'm so insulted on behalf of every fucking woman and every fucking gay man and like every race. It's like all of it is just cardboard cutouts of people. It's the biggest insult ever. They give us crumbs. They're like, diversity and equity inclusion. Look at that, not actual person. Look at that, not actual person. Great, thanks.
That's
Yeah,
really
Disney
interesting.
screwed.
Well,
Oh, I'm
hey,
sorry.
let me just actually, because Jesse's pretty much already talking about it, but the question that I had, so I was kind of proud of myself for finding this in one of the descriptions of your YouTube videos, is that you had grown up in the entertainment industry, and you were writing and performing since a teenager, but and you were also invited at, or you were invited to perform at an Illuminati party, and
Mhm.
subsequently being invited to join more than one occasion. I just
Yeah.
kind of wanted to go down that path. Can you tell us the story?
Well, I mean, I was a lifelong atheist, and I didn't do drugs, didn't drink, nothing until I was 28 years old when I started drinking socially, because it was kind of holding me back and like interacting with editors and stuff. So I've led and I got married at like 23. So I've led not quite the partying, crazy lifestyle, or whatever. And so saying that, I never really believed in any of these things, especially because my father doesn't. And I wouldn't talk about so many of these things because he doesn't. But a little while ago, I went, fuck this shit, man. He doesn't have to talk about it, but I'm talking about it. So it really happened when I went out to Los Angeles. I had a drummer in my band who's he was just played with us for a minute, but he's a friend of mine who was the dad of like one of the other kids, and he worked at an engineering place, and he was a drummer, and he and I got along nice. His dad and his uncle are two of the biggest music producers in Hollywood, or they were in the 70s. And these guys used to famously used to screw each other over for different projects. And, this much information alone, people could figure out who it is. And it was really interesting too, because I had just listened to this like 2-hour-long podcast about that period of time in the music industry and about how they were putting demons on records. And that this guy had just finished talking to one of his friends who was another producer from the same era, around the same time, all these things. And are they still putting the demons on the records? They still have that shrine where they put the demons on the records. And I'm listening to this, like, still in that stage where I was not quite I knew that things were going on secretly with, I saw enough information of that, but the type of variety of thing I was on a very low of what I thought was going on. And we were driving, and my friend just all of a sudden said, like, really matter of fact, because we were talking about like blowing up the band, and he just went, "Oh, dude, you should just come play one of the Illuminati parties. They'll love you." And he kept talking to me, but I don't remember what he said because I was like, did you just invite me to go play like a fucking private secret society party out here? And I sat, he was talking to me for a while because I didn't really say anything. So he just kept going, but basically just could change my career in an instance.
Uh-huh.
Shortly after that, I started getting messages. I got them like for like 3 years straight, but I never replied to them. From these older gentlemen, white guys with like, social media pages loaded with Freemason pictures, and here's from this event and that event and da, 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 da. And you get a letter that says, do you want fame and fortune and everything that you've ever hoped to have? Do you da 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 da? Do you want like a joke? Like a
Okay.
joke. Yeah. And then you're like, who the fuck is, what the fuck is it? And then you go click on the page, and then you find their big network of all these fucking Freemason things or whatever else there. And they're sitting here offering you fame and fortune and everybody. The problem with me is I've only ever wanted respect. So that doesn't come with that. That wasn't what they were offering. They didn't offer
Right.
me respect. They offered me fame and fortune, and that's not what I want. I want respect. So, for me, secrecy is repugnant, and I'm just about destroying this shit. And if my voice has any power over anybody to say, oh, perhaps, maybe, yes, this is going on, good. Fucking good. Wake the fuck up. Like this whole place, it's just a story, man. And our history is bullshit. Everything is fucking bullshit on planet Earth. And the only reason why most people haven't figured it out yet is because everybody's like following their own path. If you go follow like the black supremacists and the white supremacists, the Nazis, and religious supremacists, those three, just as an example, all three of them will tell you the exact same thing. There is a system, a secret system on planet Earth, and it's trying to fucking repress them. And they're right. There is. It's trying to repress all three of them, and it's trying to get the three of them to fight so that it doesn't have to fight.
Yeah. That's a really succinct description of what is happening and why we really do need to get we need to get right, I think, first with God, and then start getting along with each other.
Yeah.
Even if we just like and be okay with freaking conflict, even between one another. But it doesn't destroy you.
I think that's coming. I honestly believe that we're on the verge of that, because if you think about it, go back to before Barry Obama. He said to us he was going to fundamentally change America, and he did. He fundamentally changed America for the worst. He made it so that we were fighting with each other. Before that asshole came into power, there was no real animosity towards another culture or another type of. I mean, we had
that way to me, and honestly, like there are so many things that like I now know are such fucking bullshit. Like what's one of the things that that I fell for, that so many people fell for, and it's so stupid. Which was they only want people to have voter ID because they know some of the black people don't have an ID. And then like interviews with people in black neighborhoods. Do you have an ID? Yes, I have an ID. Do you think it would be weird for somebody to not have an ID? Yeah, I think it would probably be weird to not have an ID. Do you need your ID for a lot of things in your general life? Yeah, of course I do need my ID. Do you think it's weird for people to say that black people don't have access to an ID? Yes, I do think it's weird to say that. And why would they do that and perpetrate this whole thing? Because they are fucking stealing elections. Every fucking election on planet Earth is being stolen, dude. Everything that you're seeing is just a fucking show. Ronald Reagan was an actor. He was an actor, and he was allegedly the first one who was really not involved in any of the fucking shit that was going on, and is just the actor. Barack Obama is literally a deadpan perfect match for the actor who taught him how to speak. This actor is a character actor. He's a very light-skinned black man. You will see him one day on some doctor's show or some other thing, and you'll be like, Obama? Yes, it is Obama. He literally taught him how to act like him because they wanted Obama to act a certain way.
They put that guy in a lot of shows before Obama came into power, so that we were subversively thinking about, oh, I liked him. He was nice. He was good. Oh, wait, that's the actor. Oh, Barry looks just like him. That was their, what's it called? Karmatic retribution. They were telling us in advance that they were going to put a black man in power, and he wasn't going to be from the United States. And they had this actor portraying, wasn't he in 24? With
No, that's the
Kiefer
different
Sutherland.
before. Yeah, I forget some of the movies. He's been in so many damn movies. But it's so funny. You could find interviews with him talking about how he taught Obama how to be exactly like him. And the moment you see that a person's entire personality literally has been fucking stolen from another dude, I'm so like this guy.
He was an acting coach.
He's not a human being. It just so happens
he was an acting coach.
He also shares blood with all of these other fucking presidents. Guys, it's all screwy. It's screwy. And like, you know, like even like the shit that just happened with Trump, dude, I don't know whether or not, what are the odds that this is the worst screw up the Illuminati have ever made and it's super embarrassing and Trump ends up coming out looking super good? Seems really low to me. Seems more likely that it would be set up exactly like this. I don't know why. I'm not sure for what purposes. That's the thing about conspiracy theories. You can't come to a conclusion. You just have to hold on to the information that doesn't make any fucking sense. And you keep holding it up going, what is this? And what does it mean? Until we get an answer. The problem is that they're like, conspiracy theory. Well, that's not true. They throw it away. No. What is this? And what does it mean?
Well, you know, that's really interesting because as far as like conspiracy theorists go, and I think a lot of us do it, is we project, you know, why A, B, and C happened. And if you don't have the answer as to, well, why did they do this? If you don't have that answer, then it's automatically, you know, you're supposed to throw that information away, you know, or stop questioning or something. Yeah.
I have to ask you a question, Jesse. I got to ask you a question. Do you believe that this whole assassination attempt was a staged event for our benefit?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I mean, that's the one thing that's clear. I just don't know exactly why. Just because it's all very odd. But
they had to flip the script.
Honestly, it seems more like it would be to the benefit of Trump, everything that happened here. But oddly, doesn't seem to have changed. You know, it's all fucking fugazi, man. And like, you know, it's like, I really do believe that, you know, somebody once told me that there were no heroes and that everybody could be fucking blackmailed and gotten to and whatnot. And I went home and I wrote a song called Don't You Tell Me There's No Heroes. And, you know, I said, I'm a hero every day. I'm opening some doors and I'm mopping up the floors every year, every way. And there's heroes all over the fucking place. There are great people. You know, even somebody close, Tulsi Gabbard, is clearly a fucking human being who gives a shit and has principles. That's what we're looking for. Fucking RFK is clearly a human being who gives a shit and has principles. You know, Donald Trump, it's so crazy, all the things that people like to say, but like calling him Hitler is the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life, because that man has a gold couch. And the one thing that you could say about a man with a gold couch is he's out to impress us all. And that sort of person does not want to go down in history as being Hitler. That sort of person wants to go down in history as being the good guy that everybody likes. That's who Trump is. Trump's a guy with little hands who wants to go down in history as being a guy that everybody likes. So is he selfish? Is he naturally racist in some way? Fucking fuck you. Like he's a person. He's not fucking perfect, but is he the type of person that we should have fucking running for office? No, there should be so many people who are so much grander and so much more amazing that we would never even bother to look at this person for more than a second. And yet here we are, where he does seem like the much better option next to a geriatric corporate Democrat who is just going to give us more of the same, where they tell us all these nice things that are going to happen and nothing actually occurs. You know, I voted Democrat most of my life because I am a bleeding heart, and they don't do anything. They're just fucking us over. They're manipulating us. They're tricking us into, they're using our bleeding hearts against us. And then they're turning us into them. They're turning us into vicious, fucking hateful people who are fucking acting just like all of the dogmatic Christians who largely led most of us to be punk rocks and counterculture people that we are, because we didn't like all that dogmatic thinking. So it's just like, it's so crazy to me how easy people are to manipulate, that the people who were fighting against dogma yesterday have become the new dogma today.
Right. It's basically their religion. I think we can all kind of agree on that point. Oh shoot. Jesse, you say so much, I forget what I'm going to ask.
You write it down. That's what I do when I have to. I write it down.
I know. I started smoking instead.
I get excited. I get excited, but I don't want to interrupt people, so I write down a word real quick. But then sometimes I come back and I'm like, what does hot dog mean? What was that I know about?
Hey, real quick, just because I interrupted us with absolutely nothing to say, I do want to say hello to a few people that popped into the chat. Classical Chick and Hangton, Alien Surfer, and John Otter over on pill.net have come in and said, what's up? I think they're all still hanging around as well, because Jesse's freaking awesome and knows how to rant. And my Canadian friend, Trenchmouth, I think he likes to call it Canada. Yeah, because nothing's going on in Canada. So what is up
in the chat, the private chat, if you want to share them in the main thing? One of them is a free link to every PDF and like a whole bunch of really cool pitches and things that I've pitched to big companies and Disney and stuff. I put it all in one post. People can go and have at it. Like I've got my whole comic in there, my Deadpool comic in PDF, so you can read the whole things. What are they going to do? Fucking yell at me? Tell me to take it down?
know, that's really funny. Is that the same Dropbox that you had sent me?
Yeah.
It's like packed. I didn't realize that was for sharing. Okay, yeah, I'll definitely drop
I
that.
actually made it for a couple writers and artists, like young comic book guys who were coming up, and they were talking to me at cons, and they were asking me if they could look at some scripts and stuff. And so I was going to put together some things for them, and I was like, fuck it, I'll just put together like all the coolest shit that I have that I'm sitting on that might be interesting to anybody who is into the type of stuff that we're into. And I'll just put it on one post, and everybody can go check it out. Like I stand by my work. It's really great stuff, especially the original stuff with the pictures, things that never happened, because that stuff, nobody fucked with it. And then there's another link in there that's for the Blacklight District store. You can buy copies of King of Kings still, and eventually you'll be able to buy Fucking for Our Future, and you can sign up for notifications, stuff like that. But the Dropbox link has all my stuff that I've ever made that I had on my computer for free.
All right, guys, you heard Jesse. You can click the link that I just dropped in all of the chats to check out. He's got a lot of stuff in there. Something I really enjoyed was going to the Blacklight District website and watching your music videos. You were our opening band tonight, by the way. That's how we opened the stream. So I played 3 of your videos at the beginning. So for anybody that is watching the replay, that is Jesse's music and writing. And I don't think you didn't do the art though, right? I think you hired.
No, I didn't do that. I'm too much of a perfectionist. That was where I started though in art. And one day I'm definitely going to draw my own book, because I just like have a bug up my ass about doing it. Yeah, if you go to we have the comic book music project. Image Comics released it in 2016. Blacklight District 6 issues. That was the first thing that we produced. It's if you go to blacklightdistrict.co, we couldn't afford the M, so it's .co, blacklightdistrict.co, and the 6 songs are free there, and the 6 comics are free. Jason Pearson, Phil Hester, one fully painted by J.K. Woodward and Chris Burnham. Great work. And so there are all these artistic interpretations of the stories of the songs with the lyrics printed in the comic, and you follow along with it. It's really, really quite cool. Nobody's ever done anything quite like it. And that actually, because you'd asked earlier, that was the first book that we did. I did 3 projects at once 10 years ago. And this was before I was bringing in other people. I did the Blacklight District. I did the King of Kings, which we had to abandon halfway through, and I've been trying to finish it now. And then we did a book for Mythic Legions, which if you're an action figure person, there's a fantasy line of action figures being produced by Four Horsemen Studios called Mythic Legions. And on their very first Kickstarter, when the amount of customers they had was pretty small, we did a Mythic Legions art book for them. It was actually written by Greg Weisman, who created Gargoyles and is the showrunner for Young Justice. And we had Marcello Ferreira do the artwork, really, really great artist who went on to work at Marvel for Morbius recently and a few other things. And so we had produced that for them. Eventually, we'll be reprinting that and be able to do some more stuff there. But those, like, so we did like a few books, but I ended up basically having 2 fires, and then going through a divorce and losing my big job that I had a big voiceover gig that I was using to pay for all these things to fund them. And I really spent a lot of money to do them the right way and took the time to like really make them excellent. And it just, all of a sudden it fell apart because I didn't have the money to do it anymore. So eventually I had to move on and now come back to it. But it's all coming back together, and there's a lot more to come.
Yeah, and in that Dropbox link, and I was kind of surprised when I found it, you have a PDF of the uncensored fucking for our future in there. You know that, right?
Oh,
So
yeah,
you're trying to sell it.
I don't really believe that in this day and age that most people have like, because things are free, I can go steal it from a pirate website. There's a little bit of this recognition that I could steal it if I wanted to. And when you choose to acknowledge that and freely give away a digital file, which generally doesn't cost you anything, I think people really have a lot of respect for that. And I think that when you handle comic books the right way as collector's items and don't overprint and abuse people's, goodwill, my 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th printing of a book can sell just as well as my first printing if I'm doing clever things each time. If we've got a great new cover, if we've done it in an interesting way, there's all these ways in order to make things collectible, but it just involves actually limiting things. So I really think you can make buying a physical thing, having a t-shirt, being involved in a more real way, very effective. And like I was telling people, read the book, give it to friends. If they like it, tell them to pay for the fucking PDF. Tell them to go buy the book. Whatever. Like, I believe in the work enough that I think that if people read the work, they're not going to go, all right, haha, I got away with it. They're going to go, I want this work. So for me, I just want people to see what we're doing and know that we're offering them something great.
Yeah, and I did enjoy, and we went into segments, but we haven't really talked about your book. The campaign closed. You were successful, and you didn't do too bad. Something that I need to admit, and I think I even admitted it when I met you over on the Common Nerd podcast, is I absolutely judge the book by the cover because it's in that certain genre of the like titty book, right? Yeah. So I'm like, oh, okay, this guy does this. This guy does this thing, cash grab guy. Oh, look at Cause is so sweet. Your campaign is closed out, but something that totally changed my perspective in one word on that podcast is you said you're subverting this genre, and I just love that because I love subversion in any way possible. So can you talk on that a little bit?
Trying to do, in anything, my teacher would teach me some math, and I'd be like, how about I do it like this? Right. I mean, like in general, I have a quote on my Twitter that's a very near and dear to me because I had a writing teacher who was sort of the catalyst, I guess, for me going into writing. She was very proper, and she's the person who I learned the word accoutrements. We have all of our accoutrements. All right, children, sit down. She was very, very proper.
Was that at Half Hollow Hills?
No, it was at Ward Melville, Mrs. Krinsky. And she had a class called Independent Writing for Publication. And in the class, every single writing assignment was submitted to a contest of some variety across the nation, across the world, wherever she could find them. And she had like 20 or 30 or so contests that she found. And all year long, you would just be submitting things to contests. And one of the first things, or first few things that we did were like poetry and things like that. And like, I excel at poetry. I've been doing that my whole life. And poetry, it's kind of all about breaking convention to a certain degree, or your poems are boring. So like it's expected if you're doing anything interesting with a poem that you're going to break convention. However, when it comes to other sorts of writing, the noticeability of how much I like to break convention is very noticeable. And I was terrified the first time I handed in like an essay or something, because I would just write insanity. I would just like whatever, like I would learn the rules so I could break them intelligently. And and most teachers would let me get away with it because I was clever. But she was so proper, and I was legit terrified what she was going to say to my work. And I remember she handed me my work, and she kind of whispered to me, "There's a place in this world for writing like yours, Jesse." And I was so touched and moved, and it meant so much to me because I knew that I was not her sensibilities. And what she said to me right there admitted to me that what I was writing wasn't her sensibilities, but there was a place in this world for writing like mine. And I like that was such a major moment for me. And that breaking of convention is why she said that. And with everything, whatever it is, I'm just always looking like the divine feminine. How can we improve this thing? How do we bring this thing to the next level? And that comes from a love of what you're doing and a love of the source material, and trying to leave things better than you found them, which I really think in comics there's this amazing world of a revisionist history. One person comes, he establishes a certain something, new person comes in, he saves all the things that we like the most, he gets rid of some of the things that don't work so well. And like it keeps getting kind of sharpened and sharpened until flash forward and you've got Frank Miller, putting finishing touches on a Batman that essentially we've been reading for 20 years now, the basic pieces that make up this mythological character who's got like all of these pieces. So I think that stuff's really important across the board.
Awesome. Awesome.
I,
Yeah.
I have to I have to ask you, have you ever read anything from Terry Moore, Strangers in Paradise?
I think I've read one issue of Strangers in Paradise. It looked like
Okay.
a drama. I like science fiction, so
Okay. It was definitely a soap opera. Um, I was big into his books back then, back in the early '80s, and also Omaha the Cat Dancer, which was very soap opera-esque. But it was also, an anthropomorphized version of a titty magazine, with all the sexual innuendo and all the other types of craziness. But the stories were really well written, and it was drama, and they were good reads.
well,
And then you
most of the
go ahead.
people. Oh, sorry, you can finish.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, most of the people who play in this genre, they're doing it because they don't think they can do anything else. For one, and for two, most of the writing in comics is not good because half of the projects are artists who often think that they can write, don't really have a real perspective on the quality of the writing. Writing is fucking everything. Like, don't let anybody tell you anything different. Like everything can be fixed with writing, and having a fucking idea about how things are going to be set up from the very beginning. That's where all your problems start. That's where all of them can be fixed. Everything beyond then, you're fixing the problems after the fact, and that's cool. But
You,
from the
you need
foundation,
to, yeah.
yeah.
You need to get a hold of her husband, Scotty Mack, because Christie's husband is the writer. He also does artwork too, but he writes some great stuff and then throws it on one of the artists that they work with regularly. And the stuff they're two people of the same mind, and so that Scotty can write out a story arc and give it to the artist, and the artist transforms it and actually knows what Scotty's thinking.
Oh,
And that's always
I think you're referencing Ben, who checked
Ben.
into chat earlier, by the way. Yeah, no,
Hey,
they're
Ben.
in. Yeah. they're like two parts of one mind. They work so well together.
Exactly. And that's what I like about what you're doing, is that you've got this talent, not just for drawing, but you have this talent for a story. You tell a good story. And that's what captures people. If you have a good story arc and you take it and run with it, and you get a good artist to do the work, you should be winning people over left and right and sideways. I think too many people out there, like you said, are hacks at writing, and they have this ridiculous formula concept in their head that they've been instilled or ingrained upon, and they do shitty work. They're 100% right.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like very easy for people to learn the most basic patterns that are repeated over and over again and then regurgitate that. So most, like,
Yeah.
90% of all the writing, it's just doing the same thing that they did on 24 or they did on Lost or they did on Star Trek. Like, everything's just like a little piece being built upon. So you don't have a lot of like really interesting things happening in general. There's two things that like I'll really say to that. One is I can remember the best book that I've ever read on writing, and I recommend it to anybody. I recommend it to pro writers all the time. It's called Wired for Story. And essentially what Wired for Story will teach you is to not have any ego about your fucking writing, because nobody gives two shits about your clever dialogue. Nobody cares about that character that you did all that extra little work on. People are looking for one thing: the human experience. And that is want and pursuit. Okay? And struggle. That's it. I want this. I pursue it. I struggle. The more you make them struggle, the more you make the want right and true for them, the more your audience will demand that God part the fucking heavens, come down himself, and give them their happy ever after, because you want to see this character happy because they have struggled enough. My friends, that is all anybody is looking at. When I'm writing something, I'm not thinking that Jesse did all of this fun stuff for you. Granted, I'm trying to make it nice. I'm trying to make it fit all together and be cool for you so that maybe you'll be glad that I packaged it up for you. But all I know is you care that I have a character who wants a thing and that they're trying to get it. And I can't make it easy on them or you won't like them. That's why you don't like most of the women that they've been putting in the films over the past decade, because they're doing such a disservice to the women, because they won't put the women through as hard a struggle as they'll put the men through. Sometimes it's like, well, we don't want to beat up the woman kind of thing, whatever. But really, like, you're taking away the woman's power. The fact that the woman is disadvantaged and has to overcome a situation and might have to use her brain or might have to use whatever it might be to overcome the fact that she is disadvantaged. Like, that's great. Like, we need those. That's the shit that makes it. So that's the first thing. Then there's the second thing, like, in terms of writing. I had a friend of mine, he made a short film. And I forget what the short film was called. I don't know how to tell this story the best so that you can get the experience that I had. But he tells me about the thing. I'm sorry, he doesn't tell me anything about the thing, but he puts it on, and a title comes up at the beginning, and it says horror before Christmas or Halloween or horror something. It's gonna be horror, right? Then I watch a 4-minute video of this like non-horror thing that's kind of funny, that all of a sudden at the end, shockingly, is a horror thing.
Okay.
And I turn to my friend and I go, do you not realize that by having the name be horror thing, no one will be surprised for this surprise thing that you wrote into this thing? Like, this is the level of thinking that your average non-writer has, because you really have to spend a little while thinking about certain types of things in order to start to have a if so facto, this is going to work in this way, this will affect this in this way. So sort of the bane of most modern writing's existence is that Nothing affects things. You know, South Park, Trey and Matt Stone, you know, they do some of the best fucking writing in the business. And they will tell you it's not about this happens and then this happens. It's this happens and so this happens. This happens and therefore this happens. This happens and therefore and so we're saying because of this, this must occur. This is an avalanche. One rock hits the next rock, hits the next rock, hits the next rock. A great story is just a bunch of fucking rocks hitting each other. And it literally will start perfectly from the first rock of an idea that you had if you scatter all the other rocks around it appropriately. And it's not about you. It's about the fucking perspective of this one rock, this one little piece of a thing. Why is this rock here? If all the other rocks match to correspond to that first rock and complement that first rock, you're going to have the most beautiful, amazing fucking story. People are going to love it because it's all built organically out of the core love, the core idea. You know, that's how you have to run these things. And, you know, bringing it back to Fucking for Our Future, I didn't want to make a nude book. I was working for a company called Merck Publishing. They do Death Rage and a book called Miss Meow. And they were selling all my books, a book I was doing for them called Guns and Angels. And they were selling them with titties. And I was literally like, every cover would come out and I'd be like, how do I write this into the book to make sense of it? You know, like, because I wasn't liking how their soft titties were affecting my story. So long story short, this company really pissed me off. They basically laid off my best buddy who they brought in, which was why I was brought in the first place. I don't like when people mess with my friend. And I was like, fuck these people. And then they did a book called Jinkies, which was literally just like this like sexy Scooby-Doo kind of thing. And they made like $70,000 in one day. So I called up one of my best friends who's a Marvel artist. And I was like, dude, I'm so pissed. Like I told him this story. And he's like, me too, because we've been talking. And he had a friend of his who's very untalented. And he's a very nice guy. He's like, but he's so not talented. He just made like $50,000. Just like, you know, like, and I'm just like, we got to do something. Like, we got kids. You know, like, we need to take advantage of this nudie titty magazine money. So I come up with the basic premise of, all right, we're going to do this. The nudity has to be a part of the story because then I can rationalize nudity being depicted on the cover because I'm just doing the typical Marvel cover, show what's happening inside the book. So pretty quickly, I came up with an idea that just like started checking every box for me in terms of what I wanted to do and what I really, how I wanted to subvert this genre. Because like, I don't really think sex is appropriate in stories. Like it's appropriate, a soupçon, you know, it's like, and then they made love, but like, it's like, I really feel like it always needs to be kind of earned,
Right.
you know, for the audience to feel it. And that like in general, it's like another worldly thing, you know, like sex is like you start like having sex. It's like the moment we get too deep into that, we're just like, all right, like at this point, they're not thinking about the war that's about to happen. You know, it really takes your characters' minds away from like where you're trying to focus the story and stuff. So I'm a very weird candidate to write something like this in the first place. But when I came up with the basic concept, which was essentially fulfilling modern day extreme feminism's wishes and fulfilling modern day extreme anti-feminism's wishes. You know, I said, well, what if we gave them what they want? You know, what if there was a planet that's a stand-in for Earth and 1,000 years ago, the men and the women, they broke up and they haven't seen each other in 1,000 years. So then we said like, so the women go up north, but 1,000 years later, they've been cloning or whatever. And now their cloning machines aren't working. All of a sudden, there's a need for the men. But the men who, if you know, you talk to the extreme, the extreme anti-sex, they're like, man, we wouldn't even have a society if you women didn't want one. So, you know, we've got the men who go celibate, crack open their genetic code, and they start asexually reproducing in the woods like Bigfoots. And they write it into their genetic code that they'll eliminate penis envy. Each generation of three-legged man's penis will be slightly larger than the last, to eliminate it for good. But now, you know, a 1,000 years later, some of the three-legged men's penises have become so large that they've had to move into the oceans, and now roam New Blonde's oceans in renewed peace. So it just became this scenario of the men and the women are separated. The women get what they want. They get that matriarchal paradise. The men, they don't need society anymore. They just become animals. So the women basically take, here, you can have it. You have paradise. The men don't have it. They're schmucks. They got no wealth. They got nothing. They're just animals in the woods. And the women, and as we'll eventually see too, one of the last little diatribes in the narration, there's she's writing in her diary, our princess. And now our princess, she's in a power armor. She's actually not nude. She's never nude in the book. There's a nude power armor. There's no real nudity except for the men. The men are the only real nudity. So again, I got to, in the very last minute as I was finishing getting this together, and I turned the men into animals because I wanted the men to be ugly. And I wanted the men to be kind of stupid. And I wanted to say, you're right, women. Us men are ugly and smelly and stupid. And you're right to be rid of us. You know, and that was the whole thing. It's sort of like, but the joke's on you because we need each other. And that's the whole bit. You know, it's a Wile E. Coyote cartoon where the coyote or the women trying to get that sperm, but it's not, I need to get sex. I need sperm. You know, these are women who have a completely detached view of sex to a man. Like they're animals. They look like Bigfoots. Like she doesn't want them. It's a completely scientific process. And then the Bigfoots, they haven't seen a woman in 1,000 years. They don't know what a fucking woman is. A boob? What's a boob? I don't know. I don't know. She's got these big things on her chest. I don't know what it is. So, you know, this sort of idea of like an innocent lack of interest. You know, well, what if 1,000 years from now, us men innocently no longer had any interest in you with it? You know, like, and really that's the thing. Because I do think that there is like a hand in hand. You know, granted, you know, men and women, you know, when you start boiling it down to shit like that, it's so stupid. You know, our women, there's a lot of men in our women. You know, they're women, but they're kind of obviously acting like men. You know, and being able to show that even up in this new patriarchal society, it's filled with tons of dudes. Plenty of influence of masculine energy is there in this society, you know, and to be able to like even look at sex and mating rituals and things like that, because like we have her looking through the data banks of old Glon, and she's watching old movies and things like that. Like we don't show that in this movie, but you get the sense of where she's getting information from. This is a lifeguard. She's going to run and makes the boobs bounce. You know, bouncing boobs. Yes, that'll attract the men. You know, of course, these men, they don't care about boobs. They don't care about the, you know, we did a commercial for the thing, and we have this jingle of big titties. And the songs, you know, nobody doesn't like big titties. Men and women alike love big titties. Boys, girls, and babies love big titties. We all love big titties because we all come from a mom. And the evolutionary thing, or however you want to say it, is that a milk-filled breast is a positive thing for a baby. You know, so we all come away with like a positive view of that sort of thing. But in the song, when it gets, there's a moment where we say they love big titties. It says, who doesn't? And we show a picture of the three-legged man. The three-legged man doesn't. He does not like the titties. He doesn't care about the titties. And Bossy and Princess Dickhouse is going to learn this the hard way over a long period of time. And it's so funny because I didn't think I would do it for a long time. I thought like, we'll just do this one book and like try to make some noise and whatever. But it's been so fucking funny. It's been so funny to write it. I can't wait to write the second issue. She's going to the beach and she's going to try to get one of the ones that lives in the ocean, and she's going to use the she's going to attach to the penis, and the dude's going to freak out. He's like, ah! and it's like running on water, you know, and then he's going to be swimming, trying to smash her into all the coral, trying to get it off, you know, like, but like, this is it, you know, like my sex book is the sex book that when the lady puts her supposed mouth on the penis, he's screaming, going, get it off, ah, I don't know what's happening.
Right.
You know, That's what kind of book this is. It's a completely subversive take on a genre that is generally very kind of slimy and erotic.
Right. Well, hey, I did have a question too, because you were exclusively on Kickstarter, and I know, uh, because you're in this genre, and I've seen other people whose other campaigns, even though they push, that are not in the genre, they've done crap, but then they put it in the genre or do another book in that genre, and it kills it on Kickstarter. Did you see any? Do you think any of much of your backers came from just being in that genre?
I don't know. I mean, we spent $1,000 advertising to people. I mean, really, like we were very disappointed in like our conversion numbers at the end, even though I'm told our conversion numbers were pretty good. I mean, at last I checked, it was like 22% or something, which I was like, it's not because we had like 500 people waiting, for notifications and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I mean, we were constantly running ads. Then towards the back end, I was constantly doing shows, and I like just as many as I could, and like whoever I could get with and talk to. So I mean, we were getting traffic from Kickstarter initially. It was going pretty good. I mean, that's why we played this card. That's why we did it. I think with all of this stuff, they make it really difficult for you to succeed, and they kind of make you have to keep coming back over and over again to build up steam on these platforms. So, I think we're still building steam. This was our second book. Our next one will be King of Kings #2, and probably fucking for a future #2. It's just kind of one after another. And, with each one, it gets a little easier, a little harder to speed up the process and, start heading them back after back after back.
Right. Okay. Hey, can I take you into our last segment, because we're actually going a bit long
Let's
tonight?
do it.
Because
That's
all
what
right,
she said about the three-legged men.
this is our closing segment, and this, I don't know if this correlates with three-legged men, but on Creative Chaos, we always brand our guests, but it's just a Flip City brand, no kind of sex cult type of thing. So I picked something that you might enjoy, because just the little bit that I know about you, you're pretty freaking red pilled, but you're also really high energy. And we all know that evil rules the world, and there's absolutely nothing we can do about it. So it might be time to end it all. Okay. So what I'm thinking is, we here over at Flip City, we're devout capitalists, and have made a contingencies plan to sell suicide machines if our funny magazine fails, right? Because it's hard to indie publish. So Consumer Reports ran the best and worst of machines that are on the market, and we've chosen a couple that we might sell, but we can only afford to start with one. Would you help us make a decision on which would be better to sell? I've got the two that we've chosen, and chat, if you're out there, while Jesse reads these out loud to everybody, help us decide between the two which of the suicide machines might be best to sell. All right, here we go. Would you mind reading to the audience, Jesse?
Oh, I can't see it. It's not big enough.
Are you on a phone?
No, I'm on my computer, but it's in a little thing up here. Let me see. Wait.
Yeah, pin it. Yeah, pin it. Sorry, you came. I forgot to tell you.
Together. If you've got to go, why not take someone you love with you? That's the stroke of genius behind Schwanson's family-friendly Together model. The spacious capsule lobby offers room for 4 with AC, beverage holders, cushioned interior, and entertainment console, plus a 25-inch flat screen with streaming entertainment services. Rotating depositor system loads remains in a compositing bin located on the underside, making this one of the most environmentally friendly models available on the market. After the compost cycle, the model can be rinsed out and reused for generations and comes with a 20-year warranty. The Together, in garage storable and available for friends and relatives to jump in anytime. The Togetherist computer automatically forwards courtesy electronic parting messages to loved ones, reminding them how totally horrifying life on this planet really is. Perks. In the warm season, the Togetherist doubles as a vegetable greenhouse. Termination method. Slow drip potassium chloride 4 ports and watching Disney Plus network. Change of mind. Together is equipped with multiple handheld emergency release controls. One drawback, all occupants must agree to abort. Rating,
All right.
3 skulls.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. And if you can hold that while we read the next one, after we're done looking at all of these, you can help me decide which one we're going to purchase to sell.
Oh, am I doing this one too?
I can read it if you want.
Okay, I got it. Gherkin Chill Pod. This Costco exclusive, relabeled import from Germany offers high quality at a low cost, a hallmark of Gherkin products. The Chill Pod is the choice model if you have a bummed out teen or a young adult ready to pull the plug. Capsule features a cozy pillowed interior that also accommodates one small pet. Pod doubles as a photo booth, and designer earbuds help the departing check out to his/her choice of millions of tunes via Spotify Premium. The Chill Pod is mass-produced in an exciting range of interior-exterior style options. Choose from urban hip-hop, sad girl kitty, metalcore, or Marvel superheroes. Increasing your follower counts is critical in life or in the afterlife. So the Chill Pod offers web broadcast capability to stream the big event on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. If you've got to go, you can at least rack up some record likes and follows along the way. All broadcast monetization rights reserved by Kirkland International Products Incorporated. Termination method, unbearable boredom. Power source, system runs on combined natural gas, electricity, and dashed hopes. Self-immolation cycle reduces pod to a pile of ashes in 90 minutes. Features, tinted privacy glass, post-mortem makeup misting, System conceals visible acne. Performance, Chill Pod is slow to warm up and frequently sluggish. Unit emitted persistent error codes indicating that it hates us and we're ruining its life. Rating, 2 skulls.
Very good. Wow, Jesse, I can see why people would hire you for voiceover work. We're just going to look real quick because there's a couple more here. We're not going to read the consumer reports, but we've got the Singling Songbird.
Okay,
that one's way too cheap. This one we can't afford. The Allegro Achiever Series Masterclass. We can't afford to invest in that one, but we're going to get reminded here with a little thing. So the 2 that we read that we're considering buying so that we can then sell to the general public was the Gherkin Chill Pod and the Schwanson Together. Do you have, based on the wonderfully read reviews, what would you suggest?
I'm going to go with a match. It's inexpensive, it's lightweight, you carry it in your pocket. One of those matches that you just need a kind of rough surface and just a match and a good old fire. That's nice and cheap. I think we should save our money and just use a match, or maybe hire a homeless man. I don't know.
Now I'm trying to be a capitalist selling something here, and you're telling everybody how easy it is to just self-immolate.
Oh no, I've ruined your plan.
Yes, you did.
Now, go out in style, guys. Buy the Trump gold chamber thing and, put yourself in the wood chipper and do it the right way.
All right, very good. Well, I super appreciate you helping us out with those. And that's going to make an excellent short for us to sell our suicide machines. I didn't even have to pay you for your voiceover tonight.
Take advantage while you can.
Yeah.
They don't want my voice in Hollywood anymore. It's too white and male. I have to do all my voiceovers like this now. It's much better. I've been having a much easier time.
Oh, you know what?
Now you sound like Mickey Mouse.
I do remember one of my questions from earlier. So I'm wondering how many. Okay, so you say everybody loves you, and which I would agree, probably. But as far as being more and more divided over the last decade or so, have you lost more conservative friends or liberal friends? You've had a loads of friends.
I haven't really lost any friends because people are afraid to confront me.
Interesting. Are you a violent person, sir?
No, it's not that at all. I'm the child of a celebrity, and they do not want to accidentally lose access to a perceived bit of fame that they're connected to. So
That's
it's
interesting.
very funny. But there's also a couple other factors. I don't take no shit. Everybody knows it. Everybody who knows me knows that I probably stood up for them, stood up to somebody, said something that nobody else wanted to say at the time. And people know me, and they know that I don't go quietly. So people don't like to fight me because I win. And it's just, it's like when you don't lie, you don't have to remember anything. And that's kind of how I've always lived my life, doing right to other people, treating other people the way I hope that they would treat me. And being somebody who was very quick to call it like I see it if I don't see that happening, because I believe that that is a fucking small thing to ask. Everything beyond that is, hey, will you do this for me? Hey, will you be helpful? Will you be inclusive in your life? Will you be charitable? All right, you don't want to be charitable? Fine. Just do not go around raining on other people's parades and making other people's lives worse. So for me, the position that I come from, it tends to be the worst I get is like, oh, quit defending them. You're using your powers for evil. That kind of thing, because
Okay.
and I'm like, no, I'm trying to tell you, we're being fucking used, man. And it's it really pisses me off to such a terrible degree that what we've got going on right now is a repressed class who's been repressed back in retaliation. And it's so disappointing to me that the repressed class is repressing. It always was like the same thing where where black guys were very anti-gay and everything. And I was like, man, your black culture is being repressed. How do you stand for another culture being repressed? We have to stand up for each other equally so that we can all get the same respect that we deserve. So it's such a weirdo world that we live in. But I did have one story of that, because when my co-writer of King of Kings is Mark Polton. Mark Polton is a writer. He's in Comicsgate. He's done some work with John Malin, who's a bigger name there. Friends with John Malin, friends with a couple of these other people. When the whole Comicsgate thing happened, basically Mark Polton was in Comicsgate immediately, day 3, 4, 5. And he called me up and he was like, hey man, I'm really sorry, but I'm in Comicsgate. It is what it is. It's like, but my friends are in it and I'm not going to reject them. And I basically said to him, well, you're my friend. I'm not going to reject you. I'm not really interested in this whole Comicsgate thing for a number of reasons. But more power to you. But at a certain point, I got offered some work through him, and I reached out to an artist friend of mine named Scarecrow Oven. And I said, hey, I got an offer for this job. I want to offer to you, but I just want to warn you. It has some loose affiliations with some people who are kind of associated with Comicsgate. And this motherfucker just blanket, just doom, overnight, done. And it's the funniest fucking thing in the world to me. Because every other day, I want to fucking send him some sort of message going, are you fucking kidding me? Do you really want to play the game of who is more morally awesome? Seriously, somebody judging me like that and making out something I warned him. I told him what the situation was, for somebody to make me feel like that because of my associations, that they have the power to just go, nah, I don't want to be associated with you anymore. Just pissed me the fuck off. Just really made me go, never. Nobody will ever make me feel like this ever again.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of went quiet at the time because I didn't know how to deal with it. I was just like, I don't want to be in the middle of this nonsense. And I don't like how either side's really fighting. I like Ethan Van Sciver. I love Ethan Van Sciver as a creative person, and as a person who was in the industry younger, he was supportive of me, try to get work there. But I also love Mark Waid. Mark's been fucking running his mouth off, and he's really made himself not fucking cool to the community, which sucks. And I don't get that. And but that's the state where we've been in. And as far as I'm concerned, people that I respect a lot are fighting. And I don't really know what to do. And I don't want to play this game where I'm like going to participate, take sides, and play partisan games. Like, I don't really believe in telling everybody what your political position is when you're a writer, because it changes the way everybody reads everything that you do. It colors your work in such a terrible way. The same way like a nude cover, without it being story driven, really like changes the way you're going to go read about that character now. So for me, this is all kind of like crazy talk, like, and I've even had this conversation with my dad a number of times now. I told him, I said, because my dad has a real concern, and I appreciate his concern. It's a concern that a lot of people have. That
Are you guys very similar in nature, you and your dad?
we were until
Okay.
until I took Steve Jobs' advice and I took psilocybin mushrooms at 29, and then we went.
That's
And
interesting.
yeah, and basically I opened up my mind. At the time, I called him the next day to tell him that it was the most incredible experience I'd ever had in my life, and I had upgraded my mind, and I learned some incredible things, and that I wanted him to do them with me. And he kind of flipped out on me.
Oh,
And
Dad?
and yeah,
Dad flipped out on you?
he's straight edge. He's never done a drug in his life.
No, I know. Dad's.
Clear to me that friends of his had tried to peer pressure him, and so I was like a very major peer pressure, and he sort of reacted very badly to it. They've all come around as time has gone on to the psychedelic medicines, and that there's a lot to learn and to be offered, from those things. The stupidity of these drugs, because Steve Jobs said he would not have invented Apple computers if not for an LSD trip in college. And when I heard that, I took that very seriously. He was one of my idols, and I was like, wow, that's a profound statement. At 28, when I started drinking socially, I also started smoking marijuana socially. And I realized that I had anxiety like my whole life. And I didn't know. I didn't know that I was walking around with anxiety. It really like calmed me down. So all of a sudden, when I was looking up the LSD, which was synthetic, and then the mushrooms seemed better to me. But the upgrade that happened to me there changed my life. I was just living the closed-minded life that most people are living, really believing in a limited amount of things as being possible. And ultimately, as a really rational and loving, positive person, I was just trying to get us all on the same page of rationality so that we could, just come together and like figure this out, right? So I went to, sort of the other side of things and really opened my mind to not needing absolute proof, being willing to listen to many, many interviews and many people talk and many people's personal experiences, and being willing to read many different perspectives on a thing to ultimately get at something closer to the truth, something closer to than the sanitized thing that they show us. So I said to him, because my dad was the one who taught me how to be a centrist, but over time he definitely started to lean more left. And I think a lot of it was because he was feeling very validated by people who were fans of his, who were showing up in politics. And he felt like, these are my people. Like, I trust this system even more now because I know these people. They're fans of Twisted Sister. They're fans of mine. I've talked to these people. They're nice people. Unfortunately, it's very easy to corrupt people with money. It's very easy to blackmail people. Just because people like your music and people did grow up with that sort of idea or whatever in their mind doesn't mean anything, unfortunately. And all of these systems are corrupt. I'm a Russell Brand, kind of centrist. It's like, not that I think you're wrong and you're wrong. I think we're all wrong. I think this is all wrong. And I think we really need to fundamentally be rethinking how we're thinking about all this so that we can come together. But my dad started saying some things that were really aggressively anti-Trump, anti-Republican. What do you want to say? And I said to him, I said, hey, Dad, I understand that you're nervous that there's this like dog whistle that's being put out to right wing, that, we have Jewish blood, because we converted somewhere along the way in my family, but like our ancestry, we have people who died in the Holocaust, whatever else. So, things like racism, stuff like that matters to us. And he's feeling like, he's getting all these messages about the dog whistle of the right, which I really do not believe is true. But he believes it, as a lot of people do. And
so he started kind of opening his mouth about a couple different things, and some things that he was saying were things that I knew were like these snap a branch. I'm done with D. Snider. I'm never listening to D ever again. Fuck that guy. And I went to my dad and I said, listen, I actually don't think that there's as many of these people in the world as you think there are, and as they think there are. But let's say there are. Let's say there are at least a bunch. What a terrible thing it would be to cut them off from the artistic musical works of D. Snider, a man who is absolutely not sexist or racist or phobic in any way.
Right.
Don't those people need your music the most? And isn't it awful to think that they might not get that medicine now because you just needed to say some quick little quippy thing on social media about something that you were pissed about? But now it skews the way people view your artwork for all time. And I think he did take that to heart, and and has adjusted some of how he will handle things. Because I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion. People go around and like do, but there is a certain thing. Alice Cooper had said something about like, I think it's kind of irresponsible as an artist to use that position to, peer pressure people. I'm voting.
Influence and sway.
Yeah.
To use their influence to sway somebody's opinion on something.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree.
And listen, because there is a reasonable amount of sway. Like I'll sway you. I will sway you with information. Information. That's fair. Present me with the facts. Give me the presentation, and let me be persuaded by the information, as opposed to by a bunch of superficial things that are neither here nor there. So yeah, it's interesting. I have definitely felt that pushback on some level, but in general, nobody does. And more, I've just been opening my mouth, and I'm just constantly surprised how the whole world doesn't burn down. Because honestly, for like 10 years, as I awoken to, because I was always very sharp about what was really going on, at least industry wise to a certain degree. I would read whistleblower books and things that I needed to know to understand various industries and stuff. So I understood that we were under a pretty corrupt system. But the likes of the corruption that we were actually under is so insane. I can't even believe that it's true. I never would have believed it's true. And it requires so many hours of fucking reading and watching and listening to information to get to the point where I'm at, where I'm like, oh, wow. It's just all a lie, and it's all connected in so many fucking ways. And it's so complex. And, it really, it's funny. I've got a third podcast now that I'm doing, which is probably a good place to bring it in for a landing, called Everything They Don't Want You to Know. The introduction is up on the introductory episode is up on our YouTube, Blacklight District Studios YouTube. But the podcast hasn't started coming out yet. I'm like 6 episodes in, but like I took off a couple of weeks because my teeth, but they haven't started releasing them yet. But Everything They Don't Want You to Know is just all about esoteric information, the Illuminati, the Freemasons, all this shit, all this stuff that they don't want you to know. They don't want you to have any idea about any of this shit. It is so fucking complex. And the reason why I'm doing the show is because there's a problem. There are like kind of 2 types of people who want to give you information. There's people who want to give you information because they're in love with the information and they want more people to share with it. And then there's other people who want to use the information to aggrandize themselves. These 2 types of people end up splitting up in the conspiracy world into 2 very simple camps. The people who are self-motivated, they do a general thing, and they end up creating kind of like cults where they're just like talking about all of the things at once. But ultimately, it's a lot of aggrandizing kind of shit, and it's kind of you stop there because now here I've come to you, my guru, and my guru is going to fill me in on all the things for forever. The other people who aren't like this, because they're more loving, they will focus on a particular subject that they think is really important. and they'll end up having channels that are like focused on that sort of thing. So the hardest place to get, the hardest type of information to get is the all-encompassing information, the people who are tying everything together, because most of the people who do that are very self-motivated, and I'm not. So, you know, I'm doing this show because I want this information. I want people to be able to argue, you know, with people better. You know, when they say this thing, you know, I want you to be able to go, no, let's not talk about the stupid creative choice. Let's talk about the concerted effort to terraform society into something that's going to piss off the Catholic contingent and lead to civil war. You know, like that's the conversation we need to be having. You know, people talk about 3D chess. We need to start having 3D conversations on every level. We can't be having these 2D conversations. They are the conversations they want us to have. And if we keep just responding, it's never going to end. So, you know, it's got to be us going, wait. I see this for what it actually is. I see the fucking things wiggling on the wall, creating the shadow. There they are. That's what they look like. This is what they're shaped like. And then once there's a fundamental understanding for people, that's when things will start to change, I believe.
Yeah,
And
I think.
believe
Oh,
that the
go
comic
ahead.
book community, sorry, just the last thing, but I do believe that the comic book community, I believe the geeks shall inherit the earth. I believe we are a bunch of smart people. We are people who actually read. We're people who are empathetic and appreciative of craftsmen. These qualities are so important to a community. People who appreciate things, people who care about an idea of a community. These are these things that we've had here in geek culture for years, and they tried to take it away from us these past 10 years. And I've never been more sad about anything in my whole life than what they did, especially just because all my people who I was like, I love them and I love their work, and I don't want them to come with us anymore. Like, fuck you guys. Like, you guys were here for the wrong reasons. And I bet you I can find some other people who are 10 times better than you ever were. And it's such a bummer that the community, I really think that our feelings are hurt. I think all of us, I think we're all hurt by this idea that we're sexist, this idea that we're racists. You know, I think we had the idea that we were heroes and that we were reading these things and focused on these things because we saw that the world could be better and that there was important morality and ideas that were worth standing up for and living up to. And the creative people of our industry, they sided with the fucking cool kids, the fucking
Right.
theater students, and the fucking like fuck you guys. You're not allowed at my D&D game anymore. Like, I thought you were one of us. And you thought we were lame too, and you didn't want to be associated with us. You wanted to leave us for these other people. And this whole just this idea that you can have a fucking entertainment world without an audience is just the most insane fucking thing I've ever heard of in my entire life. I've always been audience oriented, and you know, everybody should be. If you're trying to entertain people, it's a community thing. You know, you're bringing a gift to people. You're offering them something. You want them to enjoy it. It's not just about you. And this modern day of entertainment of just everything's about me and self inserts and all this stuff just kills me. I very rarely had any character in any book I've ever read who I would count as any sort of self insert. It's like kind of crazy to me when I see that stuff happen. So
Right.
I don't know. It's all fucking nuts. This was a great conversation.
Well, absolutely it was. And Jesse, I bet you are just a blast at a party. And I wish I could keep this live party going on, but we're going to have to move backstage because 2 hours is the absolute limit for creative chaos. And we've hit that mark. But so we're going to close the show out. I'd like to thank everybody that popped into chat.
I gotta run to the bathroom.
Yeah, you go do that. Except for now, I'm going to have to pitch his shit for him because he's pooping. Anyway.
All right, well, he goes and gapes his Zarge. Why don't
Yeah.
we just roll through his bio and let everybody know where they can find his stuff? Because um,
Well, I wanted to just
I clicked on that link.
Yeah.
I clicked on that link and it didn't take me to the same link that he has in the chat here. in Zoom. So you may have copied it incorrectly. I think you should try it
Are you
again.
talking about in the chat? You click the link?
In the chat here in Zoom, I clicked on the link and it took me to the page, and then I clicked on it on Foxhole and it didn't take me to the same
Oh,
page.
yeah. No, I had dropped the link in chat, in all of our chats, in the
Yeah,
live
but
chats.
I think it was the wrong link, or you're
Really?
missing a part of it because it's not opening up to his stuff.
Okay. Oh,
So
it's
I need you to redo that.
I lost one character on there. Okay, I will
And it
drop that in the
totally,
chats
yeah,
again.
and it totally did not take anybody to the right page. So that needs to be dropped if you can.
I
Um,
heard
I
ya.
I had so much stuff I wanted to talk with him about. I mean, I barely got to touch on any of it because we had such an amazing conversation about the industry, and I really appreciated what Jesse brought to the table tonight, and it totally threw you off schedule. And I know you were like, okay, well, we're just going to sit back and let it roll. And I tried to bring things back here and there, so I hope that was of some help to you.
Oh yeah, no. Well, like I said, we can't pass 2 hours, but we can continue a conversation backstage. So
Yeah,
if you have
absolutely.
any additional questions, and we can always have Jesse back on Creative Chaos. I
Oh, and we
also,
should. We should definitely have Jesse
he
back.
also just kept getting like literally darker and darker.
I know it was.
You know,
darker.
no, Jesse, we're closing the show. So thank you to everybody that came to Creative Chaos tonight. Jesse is fantastic. I'm so happy that we met a couple of weeks ago over on the Common Nerd podcast, which you can catch me on about every other week. I landed myself a panel spot over there. So check us out on me out on Common Nerd on Wednesdays. Of course, come back next week, Thursday, 6 p.m. PST. My guest will be Jason Sandberg. And of course, go check out Flip City Magazine. We have free stuff posted online. You can give us your email to get more free stuff sent to you because we believe we are making America laugh again, which is part of our mission statement. That's flipcitymag.com. And then Batman, one more time, where can people find you and our wonderful producer who's always backstage making everything run so smoothly every Thursday night for Creative Chaos?
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, you guys can check us out at the number 3, Beermen, BEERMEN.TV, and go to the click the segment that says watch here. And if you want to catch us live, come see us on the Foxhole or pill.net on Sunday evenings, 7 o'clock Big Apple time, 4 o'clock avocado time, because we talk about beer, pop culture, and technology. Because on Sunday night, when you want to just kick back and relax.
Huh?
I don't know. I heard something.
I didn't do anything.
Okay. But yeah, you guys can come check us out. We don't talk about politics. We talk about beer, pop culture, and technology. Sometimes the pop culture aspect of things brings us into politics, but we stay on the fringe. We're not really here to talk about politics, as we're not here today to talk about politics. We're here to talk about conspiracy theories. And Jesse, we love you. You were great. Thank you so much. This was an amazing show tonight. We really appreciated your energy, and we want you to come back and join us.
Oh, sure, absolutely. I'm always whether I'm promoting my comics or my band Dilf USA. If you guys haven't checked out my band, we're like a punk rock Steel Panther. Dilf USA, we've got a YouTube channel and we've been making all of our own videos and they're all comedy stuff. I think Christy checked out some of the stuff. It's pretty fun stuff. But I'm in this stage of the game where I just want to have fun doing what I love. So I've done so many things out of necessity to make money, and I realized that like everything that I did for love, I wasn't loving it anymore. So Dilf USA and and Blacklight District Studios is just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it the way that I've always wanted to do it before. So please support me, and you can follow me if you just type in my name in any place where you listen to podcasts and stuff. Jesse Blaze will get you far with podcasts. Will get you far with music. And Blacklight District Studios on YouTube and Dilf USA on YouTube, and you will be supporting me plenty.
Woohoo. Well, we're looking forward to seeing what you're doing with I did not see King of Kings in that Dropbox, but I'm looking forward to seeing what that is all about. And also, of course, your next Talking for the Future, because that was pretty freaking funny, the digital one. I did drop the link to your Dropbox in all the chats. I guess I had to fix it. So anybody that's interested, go click that link. And then yeah, support Jesse. Again, thank you everybody for coming to Creative Chaos. Jesse, if you want to hang out and talk backstage, we can totally do that. We just need to close out the live. So good night. See you guys next week. Bye.
Go where my mind takes me, black holes and alchemy, create what you can't see. Glory and infamy, grown from the self same seed. Don't mind the mark I leave. No today and no tomorrow, not for joy and not for sorrow, 'cause the need for years to follow. Mad at him, mad at him. No today and no tomorrow, not for joy and not for sorrow, 'cause the need for years to follow. Mad at him, mad at him. What I do, I can't show. Places no man can go. They may not ever know. My hands can make time bend. In dreams I've made worlds end. One day I'll make amends. No today and no tomorrow, not for joy and not for sorrow, 'cause the need for years to follow. Mad at him, mad at him. No today and no tomorrow, not for joy and not for sorrow, 'cause the need for years to follow. Mad at him, mad at him. Send your thanks and send your blame to all who give and take away. Send your thanks and send your blame to all who give and take away. No today and no tomorrow, not for joy and not for sorrow, 'cause the need for years to follow. Mad at him, mad at him. No today and no tomorrow, not for joy and not for sorrow.